Back to Drive Auto reviews. But today, we're shifting gears from engines and horsepower to the engine of life itself. We're diving deep into the story, legacy, and lasting influence of one of America's most controversial yet undeniably brilliant scientific figures, James Watson, the co-discoverer of the DNA double helix. In this 2025 review, we're taking a fresh look at his contributions, his impact on modern science, his place in today's USA scientific landscape, and even the metaphorical performance and price of his legacy, what he gave the world, and what it cost him personally and professionally. James Watson's name has become synonymous with DNA, that twisted ladder of life that defines who we are, how we look, and even how we live. Born in Chicago in 1928, Watson showed early signs of scientific curiosity and brilliance. By the age of 25, he was already part of a groundbreaking discovery that changed biology forever. Alongside Francis Crick, he unveiled the structure of DNA in 1953, a discovery that became the foundation of genetics, biotechnology, and medicine as we know them today. Think about that. A single breakthrough that allowed humanity to map the human genome, develop genetic therapies, and even trace ancestry with a simple cheek swab. That's like creating the blueprint for the engine that drives every living organism on Earth. But if science has taught us anything, it's that every reaction has a cost, and Watson's story is no exception. In this 2025 review, we're not just looking at his scientific achievements but also evaluating his long-term impact in today's world, where genetic research has gone from lab experiments to billion-dollar industries. So let's talk about James Watson's performance, not in the mechanical sense, but in the way his discoveries continue to perform in the real world, especially in modern America's scientific and industrial fields. Today, in 2025, Watson's legacy powers everything from CRISPR gene editing to precision medicine. If you've heard of gene therapy treatments that cure rare diseases, DNA sequencing used to find cancer markers, or ancestry DNA kits like 23andMe, all of these trace back to the fundamental discovery Watson helped make. In terms of scientific performance, that's like inventing the first car engine and watching it evolve into self-driving electric vehicles decades later. His original model still drives the innovation of an entire field. Watson didn't stop after discovering DNA's structure. He went on to become one of the leaders of molecular biology. He directed Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory in New York and helped shape American science policy, education, and research for decades. Under his leadership, the USA became the global hub for genetic research. He even played a part in the Human Genome Project, the international mission to map all human genes, which completed in 2003. That project was one of the most ambitious scientific efforts in history, and without Watson's early framework, it might never have happened. Now, when we talk about performance in the context of 2025, we can measure it by the impact his work still has. The entire biotech industry in the United States, valued at over $1 trillion, runs on the foundation of DNA understanding. From genetic medicine startups in California to pharmaceutical powerhouses in Massachusetts, Watson's discovery is still the core technology. You could say the engine he built runs smoother and faster than ever. His influence on education is equally massive. Every biology student in America, from high school to PhD, studies the Watson and Crick model of DNA as their starting point. But in every review, we don't just talk about performance, we talk about price too. And James Watson's story has a complicated price tag attached. While his scientific contributions are timeless, his personal and public reputation has taken major hits over the years. His controversial comments on race, intelligence, and genetics led to widespread criticism, professional isolation, and removal of honors. The same man who once stood as a hero of biology became a cautionary tale about how scientific brilliance can be overshadowed by social insensitivity. In 2025, this aspect of Watson's legacy continues to be debated in American scientific circles. Many argue that his discoveries should be separated from his opinions. Others believe that science and ethics cannot be disconnected. It's like owning a high-performance car that revolutionized transportation but came with serious design flaws. You can't ignore the innovation, but you can't ignore the problems either. Financially, if we treat his scientific contributions as investments, the returns have been astronomical. The Human Genome Project alone generated an estimated $1 trillion in economic impact since its completion, and modern genetics startups are valued in billions. Companies like Illumina, 23andMe, and CRISPR Therapeutics owe their existence to the DNA framework Watson helped define. So, in terms of value, his invention continues to outperform almost every other discovery of the 20th century. Now let's talk about the American scientific community in 2025 and how it views Watson's influence. Younger scientists today are reinterpreting his work through the lens of modern ethics, equality, and technology. They admire the discovery but reject the outdated beliefs that caused controversy. Educational institutions in the USA continue to teach the Watson-Crick model of DNA, but they do so with context, highlighting both the scientific brilliance and the importance of social responsibility in science. In 2025, the tools that Watson's discovery made possible have reached unbelievable levels. We now have AI systems that can predict genetic disorders before birth. Scientists can edit DNA sequences with near-perfect precision, allowing them to cure diseases like sickle cell anemia and cystic fibrosis. These breakthroughs are the ultimate performance test of Watson's legacy, proof that his foundational work remains relevant, powerful, and essential. When it comes to influence, Watson's reach goes far beyond labs and universities. His discovery has changed how Americans think about life itself. DNA testing is now part of everyday culture. People use it to find relatives, determine health risks, and even explore their ancestry. Something that started as a pure scientific curiosity has turned into a personal and commercial revolution. The price of this, however, is privacy. The same genetic information that helps us can also be used in controversial ways, such as surveillance or genetic discrimination. So, Watson's discovery gave us immense power, but it also gave us new moral and ethical challenges to navigate. If we were to rate James Watson's performance as a product in the 2025 science market, he'd still be a 10 out of 10 for innovation. No other scientist has had such a lasting global influence on biology. But for social and ethical handling, his score would be much lower, maybe a 4 or 5, reminding us that intelligence doesn't always come with wisdom. As we move deeper into the age of artificial intelligence, gene editing, and bioengineering, Watson's discovery continues to serve as the engine block for new frontiers. Scientists are using DNA computing to store data, creating synthetic life forms, and designing personalized medicine based on genetic codes. Every single one of these futuristic technologies rests on the same double helix model Watson and Crick unveiled over 70 years ago. That's not just performance, that's longevity, the kind of legacy very few inventors or scientists ever achieve. In terms of symbolic price, James Watson's personal cost was steep. He went from being one of the most celebrated scientists in the USA to one of its most criticized. His honors were stripped, his reputation tarnished, and he largely withdrew from public life. Yet his scientific work continues to bring benefits to humanity every single day. It's almost poetic. His discovery was about DNA, the core of life's code, but his own life's code turned out to be complex, filled with brilliance, controversy, and consequence. If we think of Watson's legacy as an American innovation brand, something like the Ford or Tesla of genetics, it's still dominating the field in 2025. The scientific market value of DNA technology has only gone up. Universities, biotech companies, and research institutions continue to expand the field that he helped start. Even after all the criticism, his influence is unavoidable. Every new student learning genetics in the USA today stands on the foundation that Watson built, whether they like him personally or not. So, what's the final verdict on James Watson in 2025? His performance remains extraordinary. The discovery of the DNA double helix was one of the greatest achievements in human history. The price has been high, both for him personally and for how the world wrestles with the ethical consequences of understanding and manipulating the code of life. But the impact, absolutely unmatched. From a review perspective, Watson's legacy is like a machine that changed the entire industry but came with a manual warning about its dangers. His work gave us power. The power to decode life, to cure, to create, and even to question what it means to be human. But it also challenged us to use that power wisely. That's the real story behind his life, the balance between genius and responsibility. As we wrap up this 2025 review, one thing is clear: James Watson's discovery will never fade. It's encoded not just in the textbooks of American classrooms but in the very essence of science, medicine, and technology. His story is a mirror for all innovators. Great discoveries can change the world, but the way we handle that power defines how history remembers us. So, while the car of DNA discovery continues to run faster than ever, the driver who first turned the key remains a complicated figure. Part hero, part warning. In the grand race of science, James Watson built one of the strongest engines ever, and the world is still running on it. This has been Drive Auto Reviews, bringing you another deep dive into the minds and machines that shape our world, whether it's engines of steel or engines of life. If you found this story fascinating, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more powerful reviews, and share your thoughts on what you think about James Watson's legacy. Was he a misunderstood genius or a man undone by his own words? Let's talk about it in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next review, where we keep driving through the stories that define innovation, science, and the future of America.